Reddit has made some very big changes and made a lot of people mad. In this video, we'll delve into the recent price increase of Reddit's API usage and examine whether the new price is fair or if they're potentially trying to kill third-party apps. In case you don't know what an API is, an API allows for people to create third-party programs that can interface directly with that program, in this case Reddit. Many people dislike the first-party apps, so they go to a third-party app that is better suited for their needs. For example, RedReader is a third-party app that many blind people use because the screen reader tool it has built in has been optimized for them. Reddit announced 12 days ago that they would start charging for their API access, 24 cents for every 1,000 API calls. That is equal to $12,000 for 50 million requests. If that sounds familiar, it's because Twitter did the exact same thing not too long ago, except their price was $42,000 per 50 million requests. Now you might see Twitter's API access price point of $42,000 and think, oh, Reddit's pricing is pretty reasonable. However, that can quickly be disproved if we take a look at a post made by the developer of Apollo, one of the biggest third-party Reddit apps. In the post, the developer states Apollo made 7 billion API requests in the last month. At this new API price point, that amounts to $1.7 million owed to Reddit. That's over 20 million in a single year. He states in his post, for reference, I pay Imager, a site similar to Reddit in user base and media, $166 for the same 50 million API calls. Later, he estimates Reddit makes about 12 cents a month on users who use the first-party app or website. On Apollo, to cover the cost of Reddit's API price increase, each user would cost about $2.50 a month. That is over 20 times what Reddit would be bringing in terms of income on their own platform for those users. If you would like to check out his post, I'll link it in the description below. In 2019, Reddit posted an article saying they surpassed 430 million monthly active users. With the estimate of 12 cents per customer per month, that's a little over $600 million a year in revenue. There's no true estimate of how many people use third-party apps, but I did find someone saying Reddit has said in the past it's about 5% of total users. Whether that's accurate or not, I cannot speak to, but it does give us something to work with. 5% of 430 million is about 21 billion. So let's assume that Reddit does not see a single penny of profit from those users. That is about $31 million in lost revenue from Reddit. With this new API price, if all third-party apps paid up, they would pay Reddit about $619 million per year. That's on track with his claim that they are charging a little over 20 times what they make on their regular users for the third-party app users. Of course, these are just example numbers, but they are still accurate to what's going on. In another post made by the developer of RedReader, he says he got on a call with Reddit and brought up the 20 million price point for Apollo. Here's what it says. I raised this with Reddit. They said that his calculations were totally wrong. They were unable to discuss why. Given that the Apollo dev literally just multiplied the cost by the number of requests, I have trouble seeing how this could be wrong. Later he states they reiterated that their goal isn't to kill third-party apps. In fact, they said they were confused by the claims that they wanted to do that. And if they wanted to kill off those apps, then there would be literally nothing stopping them just doing it directly. I pointed out that regardless of their motives, the end result is the same. The apps will be killed off. Once again, I'll have this post linked below. The fact that Reddit denied the cost of API usage for Apollo is extremely odd. It really is just basic math that totally aligns with the new price point given by Reddit. In another post from Reddit, officials gave more information about the API usage change. They state, our pricing is 24 cents per 1,000 calls, which equates to less than $1 per user monthly for a reasonably operated app. However, not all apps operate this way today. For example, Apollo requires 345 requests per user per day. While a similar number of users and more comment and vote activity per user, the Reddit is Fun app averages 100 calls per user per day. Apollo as an app is less efficient than its peers and at times excessive, probably because it has been free to do so. This is Reddit directly calling out Apollo as excessively using Reddit's API, while other apps have way better optimization. The developer of Apollo responded to this and said, as I asked before, could you please clarify what if inefficiencies Apollo is experiencing versus other apps, and not that it is just being used more. If I inspect the network traffic of the official app, I see a similar amount of API use as Apollo. If you are sharing how much API we use, would you be able to also share how much you use? I browsed 3 subreddits, opened about 12 posts collected collectively, and I am at 154 API requests in 3 minutes in the official app. It's not hard to see how that in a few more minutes I would hit 300, 400, 500. And another comment on the same thread, he said, "This post feels like a thinly veiled attempt at saying, see, the third-party apps are so bad to us. Feel free to name and shame Apollo if it's one of these clients. I have never received communication from Reddit about excessive usage. In fact, I've reached out to you folks about ways to lower it." The developer of Apollo has publicly stated that if Reddit does not change their API policy, Apollo will be permanently shutting down on June 30th. This sentiment has been echoed across pretty much all major third-party apps. Now, we must understand that Reddit is a company and their biggest concern is first and foremost profit. From the post from the developer of Apollo, we estimate that Reddit makes 12 cents a month off every single one of its users. Because they are a for-profit company, we can assume that if there was any way they could feasibly make 12 cents per user go up, they would have made this happen. However, they have not done this, which leads me to believe that they can't, so they have turned to the users that they are not making money off of. To be fair, there's nothing wrong with that. Reddit is looking ways to increase profit, and that's what companies do. Twitter attempted the same thing. Increase the API costs so much that third-party apps have no choice but to shut down. If you look at Twitter's earnings over the past 10 years or so, they only have made a profit for like 4 or so years. So Elon Musk comes in and shuts down the API program in an effort to bring back those third-party app users. Reddit, on the other hand, is trying to make themselves look like the good guys, going so far as to say they won't be like Twitter while completely destroying all third-party apps all the same. The developer of Apollo was told by moderators that had been on a call with the CEO of Reddit and that he had said, "Apollo threatened us and said they'll make it easy if Reddit gave them 10 million. This guy behind the scenes is coercing us and he's threatening us." The developer of Apollo then released a call that he had with Reddit to talk over things where the Reddit official had mistook what he had said as a threat, but by the end of the call they had come to an understanding. The call is linked below. In the AMA about the API changes, someone asked, "What were you thinking with your attempt to discredit Apollo by claiming that Christian threatened to blackmail you?" The confusion was sorted out during Christian's call with Reddit, yet you proceeded to claim that he blackmailed Reddit the following week. To me and the rest of Reddit, it comes across as a blatant attempt to pit us against him. The CEO of Reddit later answered with, "His joke is the least of our issues. His behavior and communications with us has been all over the place, saying one thing to us while saying something completely different externally, recording and leaking a private phone call to the point where I don't know how we could do business with him." So Reddit accused Christian, the developer of Apollo, with blackmail, and once that was very clearly disproven, they just insulted his character. And once again, this is the CEO of Reddit. Like a Reddit official said when talking to the Red Reader developer, if they wanted to shut down third-party apps, there's nothing stopping them from doing that. They say they want to keep working with developers, except with these new API costs, Reddit is expecting these third-party developers to make 20 times what Reddit themselves make off their users. Christian said that if Reddit had given him 3 months and halved the API costs, he thinks he have gotten by. If our calculations are correct, I'm guessing they hope to gain back that 30 million in lost revenue. However, what they have done is alienated just about every single Reddit user on the platform. Many subreddits are blacking out in protest against these changes. From June 12th to 14th, the operators of many subreddits are completely closing them down and not letting anyone post. Subreddits with millions of members are simply not going to allow this change without some form of a fight. Many have questioned whether a 2-day blackout will make any kind of a difference. Some subreddits are shutting down for even longer to try and show Reddit they mean business. r/games is doing a half blackout. People new to the community will not be allowed to post or comment. Every single post will have a tag to raise awareness of the blackout. Further down in the post, it says an indefinite blackout is still on the table if nothing changes. It remains to be seen how Reddit will respond to the actions and whether they will make adjustments to address the grievances of their users. Back to the big question. Is this a good and fair business choice? There's a good financial decision, then there's a good ethical financial decision. Good companies' choices fall into both of these categories. While this may fall into the first category, it certainly does not fall into the second category. This is clearly a move to shut down third-party apps and get those users to migrate to their first-party app. From their app, they can collect way more data on you that they can turn around and sell. Plus, the advertisements they can show you while you scroll. Let's say it works and they get their estimated 31 million in lost revenue back. Suddenly, they have the 21 million users that that they are now handing over all of their data to Reddit. There's not really any way to calculate how much they will earn off that, but I'd say it's a fair amount. So they earn more than 31 million after shutting down Reddit third-party apps. Short term, I think this will see an increase of revenue. There has also been reports that they have laid off 5% of their employees and are preparing to go public. This will certainly draw investors. But what Reddit seems to have forgotten is that they rely on its users to moderate and shape the culture and future of Reddit. Reddit really does need its community's goodwill to continue to function. Unlike other social media like Facebook and Twitter, they pay people to moderate those respective platforms, but Reddit gets it done for free. Long term, I think this might have begun the fall of Reddit. While Reddit has never been perfect, it has always supplied a place for people to find somewhere they belong. But with them blatantly lying about wanting to work with developers, I think many people are starting to realize Reddit is just another company that is a slave to its need to make more money. Not only are they just completely destroying third-party apps, they are also trying to destroy the reputation of one of its developers. Since his last attempt to contact Reddit to try and work something out, he has received absolutely no response. In one of Christian's posts, he gave an example where Apple bought a company called Darksky. Many companies relied on Darksky's API, and as the post says, this API was at the core of many businesses. Apple gave those businesses 18 months notice that they would be shutting down the API access. And when they hit the end of 18 months, they gave another 12 months for a total of 30 months. Reddit gave its third-party developers 30 days. I, for one, am hopeful that people won't let this slide, but it's going to take more than a 2-day blackout to show Reddit we mean business. I'm very interested to see where Reddit goes from here as a business. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.